I've got a couple hot topics to warm us up.
Okay.
And then we'll get into it.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Yeah.
I had some fun hot topics. I tested them out on Winslow today.
You liked them?
I've gotten in the habit of when I see things.
Jot them down.
Yeah, or I send the article to myself in Messenger. And so today I spent some time printing some things up and reading them. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, on a Thursday evening.
Oh, yeah.
We have been really good about getting together on Sundays to record, but my husband was exhausted on Sunday.
That's right. It was family time.
We needed a family day. So we're a little late this week, but I think we've got a great show. So, oh my gosh, how do I start this? Welcome to the Strongly Worded Podcast. I'm Sue O'Lear.
And I am Johnny Hampton.
And we are in the dining room studio tonight with some fun hot topics, and I think what will be a spirited conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually read a couple articles on that, too.
Yeah, me too.
For a change.
There's some things happening in the news right now that made it very timely.
Yeah.
But you know, before we delve in, I, of course, in my travels throughout the week, check out some news stories that I want to bring up. And the first one is about a mom who was arrested at a school board meeting.
Oh, boy.
So a couple of months ago here in Flagler County, I attended a school board meeting to speak about the big topic of the day was was book banning, basically. But my issue wasn't even really the issue that people had with these particular books. It's the way they went about removing them from the library. It's not the protocol that was established for the board. Somebody didn't get an answer that they liked in the amount of time they thought was appropriate. So the school board member called in the sheriff instead of giving the system time to work.
Over a book.
Right. Well, and it ended up being 4 books. And it's the 4 books that various conservative hot button websites are saying school board members or parents should go see if they exist in their libraries. And there's one in particular that is very debatable. And then there are others that are a little more subtle about things like critical race theory.
Yeah.
Yeah. But listen, this one took place in Rochester, New York. A mother has filed a federal lawsuit against her school board after being arrested during a meeting last year for supposedly not wearing her mask correctly. She feels like she's being targeted because she uses her platform as an activist in her community, which means her Facebook page, to criticize school district officials for their policies regarding masking, coerced vaccination, critical race theory, and comprehensive sex education.
What is coerced vaccination? What? So wait a minute. So she's suing them because they did what now? Because
she was arrested and removed from this meeting for not wearing her mask properly.
And so she's suing them?
Yes. Yes, for pain and suffering.
So this is what I don't understand, right? There's people in this world. So they say you got to wear your mask to go to the meeting.
Yes.
And she doesn't want to do it.
Correct.
Okay. I bet you if you ask that same woman if it's right for a baker to turn down a homosexual couple,
she would say
yes.
Yes.
It's their right because it's their business.
Right.
So if the school board requires you to wear a mask, you got to wear a mask. So
she was interviewed by Megyn Kelly, and I wanted to go back and listen to the interview. It was on Megyn's Sirius XM show, and I didn't. But she, of course, insists that she was the only time the mask was under her nose was when she was putting a piece of gum in her mouth. And to that I say, shenanigans. Say shenanigans.
They're not going to arrest you because you had it down for a second.
No, they are absolutely not. It's bullshit.
Yeah, I mean,
I've been to these meetings. I've watched it in the gym.
Yeah.
I've watched people who probably think that she's an activist and a martyr sit in the gym to find a way to get around our former mask policy by holding a bag of Doritos the whole time.
Right. Drinking soda for 2 hours.
Right. The same soda and the same little mini bag of Doritos for 2 or 3 basketball games. It's bullshit.
Like you, I don't understand. This is America, right? Like, so you don't want to wear your mask, don't go to the meeting.
Right? But she has to be an activist. And she had to go to this meeting because she had to be present because this particular meeting, the board had worked with an outside organization called Black in the Burbs, which is a suburban version of Black Lives Matter, and they brought in their own activists, all in red shirts. So she had to be there.
Well, the Negroes were going to be there.
Because the Negroes were going to be there.
So, I mean...
This woman's name, by the way, is Joy.
Oh, man, we are a litigious society, man.
We are a litigious society.
Like, you are suing them because they wanted you to... I mean, it's going to get thrown out.
Certainly it is.
It's going to get thrown out.
The only time my mask came underneath my nose was when I took it down to put a piece of gum in my mouth. And in that moment, that's when a school board member signaled to security and other members of the board that they wanted to go to recess. And I was told by an arresting officer at that point that they'd called 911 specifically to see that I was arrested. Bullshit.
Yeah, I mean...
That's my strongly worded opinion. I have been to meetings with these people. I have been to meetings with all kinds of people like this. I sat in that room full of white supremacists.
This country is like a comedy. Like, it really is a sitcom. Yeah. So, this woman who considers herself an activist wouldn't wear her mask, got arrested, and now is suing the school board. Does her? I mean, I would like to know, does she have a child in the school?
It doesn't state that.
Like, because a lot of these people show up don't even have children in the school. They're coming from, she might have.
Well, that's it. I mean, the meeting that I attended with Carolyn and Gio, there were people from all over the place that didn't have kids in our district.
Yeah, see, I can't do those things anymore, man, because my temperament is not good.
Yeah. No. And I spoke at that meeting, and you can hear it in my voice. I'm a very comfortable public speaker. I enjoy it. It's my thing. And you could hear in the video of me making the speech, my voice shaking. You were nervous. It was very intimidating.
Yeah.
I don't know that I was intimidated, but it was nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
It was standing there knowing that I was surrounded by these dudes with their beards and their flag hats and their... Some of them were wearing bulletproof vests at school board meeting.
Because, things pop off at the school.
Right.
Like, I mean,
it was terrifying.
Those are the things that get me in trouble because I can't take those guys seriously.
I know.
Like,
I know.
I've been at parties where shots rang out. Like, and it wasn't a school board meeting.
Right.
I mean, what are we doing?
It's insane how it's happening, like this wave of behavior. It's because, and I truly believe it's because these people are getting their soundbite information from these same radically far right, alt-right, conservative, quote unquote news sources to tell them to go do this. I mean, that's how our school board member found out about these books.
But also, though, the media is covering this wackadoo.
The media is also covering this wackadoo.
And now she's been in the paper.
She's been on Megyn Kelly.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're covering this. So the next wackadoo can get famous.
Yeah.
So now, she can, whatever, run her website that she's going to...
inevitably start.
Exactly. Her podcast. Oh, man.
And she's going to get somebody to sponsor her or somebody to do whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's going to be held out as a hero.
We got to stop covering the
simply for putting a piece of gum in her mouth. Do they think we're stupid?
No. That's people have been getting away with these dumb things for years, though.
I know. In other news, Bank of America clients will no longer face a fee for bouncing a check.
Oh, that's good. I don't write checks, but
they will pay only a $10 fine instead of a $35 fine if they overdraft an account.
Nice.
I think it's fantastic. They are not the first. Ally Bank and Capital One have made similar moves at the end of 2021. Financial institutions are raking in millions of dollars from such fees, and the people who can least afford them wind up paying more in overdraft fees than the amount that overdrew the account.
Yeah.
It's always been my issue.
I like, what is the fee for?
It's punitive, right?
I mean, I kind of understand, like, you don't want people bouncing checks. It's a federal offense to do that, right? Like,
right.
I understand that, but, like, the other day, my account was overdrawn probably the second time in 20 years. And he hit me with a fee. Now, I'm going to call the lady. She's going to waive the fee.
Mm-hmm.
Because my account's always in good standing. Well, what is the fee for? It doesn't cost them anything when that happens. And like you said, it's poor people who run out of money.
Right.
Right? Like the bill comes due and they may forget. And next thing you know, they get hit with $35 from the bank, probably $50 from the institution they're trying to pay. So yeah, they need to do away with all those fees.
Absolutely. Let's just punish people for being poor.
Yeah. And the banks, everything in this country is for profit, man.
And truly, I think most things are to keep the poor down, keep the uneducated, keep people overworked and unhealthy.
I've been saying that for years.
So they can't go protest or run for office or,
Like healthcare is expensive because that way poor people can't get it.
Yeah.
And then if poor people can't get, like, this country has always been set up to depress poor people, women, minorities, immigrants. That's what this country is. Mm-hmm. Plays out every day. So it never surprises me anymore.
In Japan, a woman gave up her baby after finding out the sperm donor she used lied to her about his marital status, his ethnicity, and his educational background. She's now suing the donor, which is the first that this has ever happened in this country. That's interesting enough. This poor kid this baby is now living in an orphanage.
Wait a minute.
Because the mom doesn't want it. The dad doesn't want it. But it gets curiouser and curiouser. Japan doesn't have sperm banks. Or they have now one sperm bank. So here is what they call it. They call it do-it-yourself insemination. They basically meet on social media. This woman, in order to be impregnated by this man who lied to her about these things, these various things, including his ethnicity, they had sex 10 times.
Wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Hit me.
She's married?
She's married. And apparently so is he.
What is happening? So Japan's off the chain, obviously.
Off the chain.
So he didn't just donate the sperm.
No. Not in the way you and I think of what sperm donation is.
She slept with him 10 times?
10 times.
And the husband was cool?
Well, here's my thought. My thought is the husband was not cool. Like, I think that this is a suit brought about.
Oh, because she had an affair?
By the husband. This was perhaps an affair.
You can't lie about her ethnicity if you saw her 10 times.
See what I mean? So she was told he was Japanese, and he was, in fact, Chinese.
Oh, okay. Well,
no, I mean, don't you feel like...
Nah. If they're in Japan, I'm sure she tried to talk some Japanese. Did he know it?
I have questions.
Nah, she had an affair.
Yes, I think she had an affair. 10 times.
10 times?
Yes. And now this poor baby doesn't have a mom or a dad that want it.
But...
Because the dad never wanted it, and he probably hid all of this donating stuff from his wife.
But is it a real donation? Like, is that a thing?
I mean... Money changed hands for this service.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't
Well, I mean, that's what they say. I mean, I don't know.
That is wild.
The woman found a sperm donor on social media who claimed he graduated from one of the top universities in Japan and that he was Japanese. He also told the woman he was single. The woman and donor reportedly had sex 10 times in order to get pregnant. And in June 2019, they were successful. But she later found out the donor was actually a Chinese national who was indeed married and did not graduate from Kyoto University as he claimed. By the time she learned the information, it was too late to receive an abortion and she gave birth to the baby. Japanese media reported the baby's now in the care of a child care facility in Tokyo, which is a nice way of saying an orphanage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she's suing the donor for roughly $2.8 million for emotional distress. She claimed the donor gave her inaccurate information for the sake of having sex with her. So it's an unregulated market. It makes it easy for this kind of thing to happen there.
A married woman went and had unprotected sex with another man 10 times.
10 times.
Well, I don't know about the laws in Japan, but it would seem like he did perpetrate a little bit of fraud.
Mm-hmm. If that's how it went down, yeah.
Yeah, she's gonna have to prove that.
Yeah.
And if I'm her husband, I'm getting out of Dodge.
Right?
And the other dude who is they got to be single after this, right? Like 10 times.
It has been confirmed that approximately 96.4% of the more than 140 websites in Japan providing these type of sperm donations are unsafe, and many of the websites are just hookup schemes to take advantage of people seeking legitimate donors. You think?
Japan has got a lot of unprotected sex going on.
Seriously, it's like the villages.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
I mean, this is the one that Winslow and I talked about for like half an hour. There are just so many layers to the absurdity in this story.
Like, did her husband? So he said he was single, so we know his wife didn't know. We know that.
Right.
That's a fact. Did her husband know? I like to know if her husband knew that she was going to have sex with this guy to get pregnant.
So they had one child, and they sought a donor for the second child because with the birth of the first child, they discovered like a hereditary abnormality that they didn't want to happen again. So they did together seek a donor situation.
So he was aware his wife was having sex with
And I guess that's how it happens in Japan. So I guess if you want a donor, you know that's the way it's going down.
No way.
Yeah. No. Did you watch the show Life Goes On back in the late 80s, early 90s?
I did. Yeah.
So it looks like Becca Thatcher's life will indeed go on. NBC has given a green light to a pilot for a Life Goes On sequel with Kelly Martin reprising her role. She's coming back. It's like a Hallmark movie almost. She's coming back to town, a successful doctor.
Yeah, where Corky at though? That's what we. That's
what is still vague about this. We know that
he's alive, right?
I don't know, but we know that that Kelly Martin's coming back to reprise her role, and both Martin and Chad Lowe are producing. The original series creator is going to be an executive consultant, and it's being written by the writer of All American. So it could end up being pretty good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Patty LuPone's still with us. I think the dad is still with us. I don't know if they want to come back.
Let's see. Chris Burke is the actor.
Yes, Chris Burke is the actor that played Corky.
He's 56 now.
I can't imagine they could have Life Goes On without Corky. He has to come back, right?
If he's not dead, then what's the show about?
I mean, who cares?
Wow.
Yeah.
He's 56.
Mm-hmm.
I'm old.
Yeah.
Man.
But I think All American's a pretty good show. So I think having that writer in place will be good. So we'll see.
They running out of ideas though. Who asked for a Life Goes On reboot? Like, it was a good. I mean,
I'm gonna say I did.
I watched the show, but I never thought to myself, I wonder what's going on.
I wonder what Corky's up to.
Nah.
I never did.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
But I'm gonna tune in.
I don't know. You might have to tell me how that one is.
I'll check out the first episode. I'll check out that pilot. So we're getting ready for the Beijing Winter Olympics, right?
Yeah.
So the United States Olympic Committee is encouraging Team USA not to bring their cell phones or to utilize burner phones.
Oh, why? Because of the government over there?
Because of the government over there. Canada is following suit along with Great Britain and the British Olympic Association and the Dutch Olympic Committee.
Yeah, so I'd be scared to go to China. Because you don't know the customs and you mess around, you'll be in jail.
Well, and they do so much surveilling of their own residents. Mm-hmm. Residents isn't the right word. Their own population.
Citizens.
Mm-hmm. That I can see why this is happening.
Yeah, communist countries are scary. Mm-hmm. Like I went to East Berlin when they had the wall up. It was a scary place, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's scary.
You were in East Berlin when the wall was up?
Yeah. I never told you that?
I don't think you ever told me this.
When I was like 10, I was in the 5th grade. That spring, I was supposed to go to Disney World. And my mom stepped off a curb the wrong way, broke her leg and ankle. Okay? We didn't go to Disney World.
So instead you went to
Europe.
East Berlin?
That's
amazing.
So my grandmother and grandfather paid for me to go to Europe for it was like a good 3 weeks.
Wow. I mean, why go for any less time?
It was in December too.
Going that far.
We went to London. We were in Germany. We were supposed to go to Paris, but the bus didn't come. And we went to Berlin. And as part of the tour, we went to East Berlin.
Wow.
Through Checkpoint Charlie. They made my grandmother take off some of her makeup because she didn't have makeup on in the passport picture.
Oh my gosh.
And we drove in there. Everybody had a Peugeot. Everyone had the same car. And we went to this remote restaurant in the middle of nowhere to eat. And I remember me and my grandmother always talk about there's these things in Germany called Brochen. They're like bagels. And the ones we had in East Berlin were stale. I was like, oh, Grandma, these are stale. And she grabbed my hand. Johnny, don't say that out loud. And it could be like, for the Brochens? But yeah, it's a scary place. And I remember my mom asked me, because back then, there's no social media and stuff. She said, what did the wall look like? I said, it looked like a huge handball wall with graffiti. And then when the wall came down, I remember her calling me because she was watching the news. She's like, Johnny, come here. I came in there and they were tearing it. She's like, it does look like that. She probably doesn't remember that though. But yeah, I never told you that. Huh? Yeah, I went to Europe. Saw Westminster Abbey, Big Ben.
There's Big Ben. It's like that.
Yeah, it was like the first time. It was like 85. It was like the first time I ever saw a bunch of interracial couples in London. Like, wow, this is really going on here? Because in New York, that ain't happening. But yeah, communist countries are scary. I would not go to China. No,
that would be a tough decision.
Yeah, I would love to see the Great Wall and all that, but I don't want to go to China because I'd say the wrong thing.
So when I went to Europe, I went after I graduated college, and I was sitting in the airport in the Delta Lounge. My dad at the time traveled a lot and was able to get my friend and I that traveled together in the lounge waiting for our flight, and we watched the Oklahoma bombing happen. And it took us a while once we flew and got there to really get any news about it. Like, it took a little while. Everything wasn't immediate. There wasn't, the 24-hour news cycle, all that stuff. It took a little time for it to get over there and find out what was happening. But we didn't travel to any communist countries.
In 85, to TV, so soap operas were on. They were 6 months behind with the U.S. Wow. Every TV show was months and months behind. It's crazy. Yeah, I got real fat though. Wow. Good food over there.
Good food. We definitely had good food too. The person that I had a friend. She and her fiance were in England. He was teaching at Eton College. He was doing a fellowship at Eton College, and so the college that I went to DePaul first, and then I went to Michigan. This was a friend of mine from DePaul, and there was an exchange program in Sheffield. So they were our home base in England, just outside of London. So we would see them for a few days, and then my friend and I would go off and do something. And then we'd meet up with them or see them for a few days, and then we'd go off and do something. And when we naturally went to Amsterdam first, because duh. We were supposed to come back and meet them in London and get a flight to Crete, where we were going to spend a week in Greece. And we enjoyed Amsterdam so much that we forgot what day it was, and we stayed an extra day.
And missed your flight.
In Amsterdam. And my friend Trish was beside herself because we didn't have cell phones. We weren't texting or emailing. So she and we just didn't show up when she was supposed to pick us up from the airport.
Ooh.
And so when we finally realized it, we called the house where she was staying, and she had changed the outgoing voicemail message, answering machine message, to say, I don't know where the hell people are, but here's what's happening. This is when our flight is. If you get in, if you're still coming and, you're not in jail or something, run to. And so we heard it and we're like, oh, okay. She changed our flight for the next day or whatever. So we ended up landing, running through the airport to find her, and just making it to our flight to fly to Greece. It was nuts.
That's great.
It took her a little while for her to forgive me.
Forgot what day it was.
Yeah, right.
And that's the story for another podcast.
That is another story for another day. All right, so former child star Keisha Knight Pulliam wants to play Janet Jackson in a biopic. Right.
I mean,
yeah. She thinks she's perfect, but there are a lot of people that say all they'll see is Rudy.
Listen, that's all I see.
Yeah.
No matter how old she gets.
Well, and that's a bummer about being a huge child star, is it's really hard to outgrow that. Not very many people do it successfully.
No. Janet Jackson should pick who should play her.
Yeah.
Like Ray Charles had to meet with Jamie Foxx.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And he was a great Ray Charles.
He was. So they usually know.
Some fans gave suggestions like Halle Berry, Sierra, or the 1990s version of Lark Voorhees.
The 1990s version.
Not the Fox News version that we've come to know.
Sierra might be good if she could act. Yeah. If she could do the dance moves for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if Rudy's hitting those. I don't know if Keisha Knight Pulliam's hitting those dance moves.
But she did say later in that article that if it wasn't to be for her to play her, she would like to produce and have something to do with it. So we're not quite done with Donald Trump's influence on the Republican Party. And this Politico article talks about the fact that the potential for Republicans not to participate in debates for the 2024 election. Johnny just took his glasses off and rubbed his eyes.
No, my eyelashes get tangled in there. I think Donald Trump is an interesting scapegoat for all the things that the Republican.
Well, that's what he is now, right? Yeah. He's the scapegoat for the.
But I think even
people who are very comfortable with
when he was in office, like. I say this a lot on the podcast. Like, the most interesting thing for me is for people that are now realizing that a lot of these Republicans are racist. Mm-hmm. When we've been saying it for many, many, many years. Right? So they're not going to go to the debate because they don't have anything substantial, substantive to debate.
Right.
Like, they're saying, they're saying the Democrats were the party of no. So what have they done in this first year of the Biden administration? Because even Obama, but he is not one of these super left-leaning people, right? Like,
not left enough for many, many people.
Right. So he's one of these people. I want to work with these guys, right? Mm-hmm. And what have they done? They don't renew the Voting Act. They don't.
So let me ask you this. Do you think that Joe asked me this morning when I thought about Biden, and I will forever say it's better than what we had the previous 4 years.
It is.
And I stand by that.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think that there is a place in the presidency right now for a centrist?
No.
No. I don't think that was the appropriate response to what we lived through for the far alt-right ridiculousness of the Donald Trump presidency. So I listened to an interview yesterday morning on the way into work, and I can't remember who they were interviewing, but it was the Sunny Hochstein.
Oh, from The View?
From The View. Mm-hmm. And it was a rerun. It was Monday, it must have been, because it was Martin Luther King Day. It was a rerun, and it was an interview that took place before Biden was elected. And she was saying, if Biden is elected, we're going to see very quickly this change and that change and the other thing that we haven't seen. We're going to see the expansion of the Supreme Court. We're going to see, the Voting Rights Act. We're going to see this, and none of that has happened.
Yeah, because these people keep. First of all, we don't have enough young people voting in primaries. Mm-hmm. That's first. That's why Biden is in it, right? Mm-hmm. And these older people, they fall for the okie doke all the time.
Yeah.
And he was, he made people feel comfortable. He was the lesser of two evils for me. I'm surprised he even made it.
He was never At the beginning of the primary season, I never in a million years thought we would end up with a President Biden.
Nope.
And I don't think we're going to end up with a President Harris, unfortunately.
Nah, but yeah, nah.
This
This country is not ready for a female president anyway.
No.
And I've long said we probably will never have another black president again. Ever. Never, ever again.
You don't think that the Republicans will come up with one?
No, because I don't think he'll win the primaries. Do you think a black person will win a primary in Mississippi?
I think they would absolutely love to
find
one.
Good luck. I mean...
So that they can say, see, we're not racist. You're racist. But I definitely am seeing that I just don't feel like we're in a period of time in our history where a centrist was the best response to what is happening to the Republican Party.
Did you not see how they acted the last 4 years?
Right.
Just do what you need to do.
Yeah. You said at one point, if you were Biden, you'd go in there and just say, fuck it, we're doing this.
That's
we're putting this through. We're doing this.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, there's, and I consider myself a centrist, like, even in life, right? Like, so, mm-hmm. But there's other times that I gotta say, hey, fuck it, we gotta do it this way. Sorry, Charlie. Like,
I think for a long time I did consider myself a centrist, and I think the Trump administration made me much more left-leaning.
Yeah, because they don't give you a place to go.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's you're with us or you're against us.
Right. Like, people, if you look at George W., like the speech he gave after 9/11. Oh, it's not all Muslims. Like, that's a centrist kind of speech, mm-hmm. even for a Republican. Mm-hmm. Now, people got issues with him, and he wasn't great. I get that. But from a morality standpoint, mm-hmm. That's what you need to say.
Exactly.
You don't say, oh, we're gonna ban all Muslims. Yeah, Biden sucks. Like, we'll probably have
we're not gonna have I don't think our next president will be a Democrat.
They should primary Biden.
Yeah.
Like,
I can't imagine he wants to run again. I can't imagine that he feels like he's up to that.
Oh, come on, man. Old men think they could do anything.
I don't know. He was I think that if that were the case with Biden, he would have run after Obama.
I think he didn't run after Obama because his son had just died.
Yeah. But I don't know that he even wanted to run this time. I think it was a group decision.
I think he ran only because he didn't want Trump to get in again.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I think that there's young Republicans who don't really care for some of the shit going on.
There's not enough of those.
Yeah, but there are enough Democrats. They should primary Biden. We're tired of these people, man. Get stuff done. Primary Biden. That's what I would do. And then, in politics, you can't do that. Yes, you fucking can.
What do you think about the talk about Hillary running again?
Oh, she won't win. No, people don't like her.
Do you think people have come to like her more after the last 8 years? 4 or 5 years? Where she's kind of taken that monkey off her back and just been her and done interviews and written a book. And
it's hard for me because I never really disliked her like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought she was cool. I thought she was going to beat Obama.
I tell you what, I learned that my dislike for her was bullshit and just sort of framed by my early conservatism.
Yeah, she's a big villain, right? Like, right. So. But no, I think Democrats are not going. They want someone new.
Bush was the last Republican to win while also winning the popular vote.
Yeah.
Just a little
tidbit. That's right. That's right. Yeah. I think, first of all, I think I've said this before. We need more political parties. I think now people like AOC and people of her ilk don't feel like they're Democrats. Mm-hmm. And I think there's some Republicans, for instance, Liz Cheney,
mm-hmm.
who no longer feels like she's a Republican. Like, what is happening to my party? And I think it would take a while to get going, but I think that needs to be done.
I do not disagree with that at all. I do not. So anyway, this talk that the debate commission has outlived its usefulness, and no doubt it appears that Republicans only want to encourage the excitement and the voting of Republicans. So maybe debates will look different. Who knows?
Looking for more of the Strongly Worded podcast? Be sure to join our Facebook group and follow the Strongly Worded Pod on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Also, make sure you're a subscriber wherever you listen to us, and if you listen on iTunes, leave us a 5-star rating and review.
So we're here today to talk about transgender athletes.
Oh, yeah.
We've got, there are several things happening in the news right now. We have the situation with the swimmer, right? The swimmer from the University of Pennsylvania. She is a transgender woman who's, beating the pants off of anybody she races against. For the first 3 years of her college career, she participated in men's swimming. And then she took a year to do the hormone suppression therapy. Sort of, I guess, coincided with COVID. So she has another year of eligibility or whatever. And now she's winning all the races.
Now, and people think she's winning all the races because she used to be a man.
Yes, if you read conservative articles about it, they say she's winning because she's biologically male.
But
that's the conservative speak for. That's basically just trying.
Now, before I read a couple of articles, I might have believed that as well. But the science behind that shows that may not be the case. From some stuff that I read, they say maybe you might be a little stronger. I think it was like maybe 6% or something like that. So this person was already athletic. If she would have been born a woman, she probably would have been beating the pants off women anyway.
So elite athletes tend to have traits that make them elite.
Right. That's
regardless.
What And I didn't really even think about that. Like, your thought process goes, well, she used to be a man. Like, men jump higher. But wait a minute. There's a reason that person does that, because their genetic makeup. So them being a woman, it's not gonna make her swim faster.
So some people have chimed in. Caitlyn Jenner is one person who chimed in. Not necessarily one to be held up as the favored transgender woman. I know she's controversial. But she said, like in the case of Leah, the swimmer Leah, she went through puberty as a male without any hormone suppression. So she's built like a man. She has bigger hands, longer arms, broader shoulders, a larger cardiovascular system, more lung capacity.
That would help. See? Science.
So she feels that Caitlyn says that transgender female athletes, I think specifically, should absolutely be living their authentic selves. However, they should also have some respect for facts like this, and that she does not feel. She says it's unfortunate that this is happening. I don't know why Leah's doing it. She knows that when she's swimming, she's beating her competition by 2 laps. And she said that she's, she went through puberty as a male.
Okay, so I guess my reaction to that would be, and so like another article I read was saying we don't need to do this, but should there be now a specific category for transgender athletes?
Well, it's possible, and I think that's probably where our conversation is headed. the NCAA did make a decision, preliminary decision,
Mm-hmm.
that these decisions should be sport specific. So, for example, like we just said with the swimmer.
The example you just gave is a perfect one.
With basketball. So Joe and I did a little research about the average height of female and male basketball players in college.
Yeah.
Well, hormone suppression doesn't take away a man's height.
No.
Or wingspan.
You could be 6'10" with a 7'4" wingspan.
And the average female college basketball player is 5'9".
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot to think about.
It's a lot to think about. So the last article that I read, and I didn't get all the way through it, and I'd like to finish it. It was published by ESPN. Says that the debate runs deeper than college athletes or pro athletes. What about the 10 or 12-year-old that wants to play basketball in the league or wants to play soccer?
Mm-hmm.
So, kids are being identifying themselves as transgender younger and younger, and some of them are beginning hormone therapy prior to puberty, younger and younger all the time. And I don't know that I can debate that or know even a lot of it. But this girl, she's 11, and she runs, and she can't wait to play soccer. And in her town, the soccer league is not co-ed. Her family has raised her as a girl, even though she was genetically assigned male at birth.
So, oh man, that's tough because I don't.
She wants to do is play. She's not even trying to be an elite athlete. She just wants to play upward soccer or whatever it is.
So, if I were to have a kid and then they were 11 years old and they realized, it was a boy who didn't realize, okay, I identify as a girl. I probably would take them to therapy, make sure that's what they want, and all that kind of stuff, right? But I wouldn't give them the hormones. Like, I'm not going to have an 11-year-old make that decision. Now, when you get 18, when you get to be an adult, make that decision then. So that makes it tough, right?
So what about the science? It talks about they have an easier time transitioning if it's a puberty decision.
I know, but these kids sometimes can't even decide what to eat. You know what I mean? Like, So I'm not saying that, hey, listen, every parent got to do what they got to do. We're doing the best we can out here in these streets. Like, trust me, I know.
Yeah.
I know firsthand. It's tough out here. But damn, 11-year-old hormones, like, I just can't. That's a lot. It's a lot.
It is a lot. But I can't say that.
But what you're sorry, no, I didn't mean to cut you. But what you're saying, and what Caitlyn Jenner has said is true though. If you want to be an athlete, you kind of got to do it before you go through puberty. You got to, because otherwise, like you said, men are they're built faster, stronger than women, and in basketball, which is my sport, a guy is more likely to be 6'10" than a girl. You don't see many of those walking around. A girl center in the WNBA is what, 6'5"?
Probably not even.
Based
on our research, there aren't a ton that are taller than 6'1", 6'2".
Yeah, so man, that is tough.
Mm-hmm.
I did not think this was going to be this tough of a conversation. I just don't know if I could have my 10-year-old start taking hormones. I just don't know.
So some of the arguments are that, for example, how motivating is it, for example, for Leah's teammates to train at this point now at a particular level? Regardless of some of the things that they're saying, Leah is saying, or her behavior. She's beating people by 2 laps.
Right.
So how motivating is it for the athletes around her who are competing with her or against her to even train? And there's a frame of thought that talks about how it's seen as unfair, and that critics about transgender women competing in women's sports negates their experience. everything they've gone through, the training, the therapy, the trauma, whatever. I don't, here I'm going to say something that might get some flack, but I don't know that there's room for you dealing with your trauma in this argument, in this debate.
No, I think that's
lots of people experience trauma.
That's a myopic view, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you don't care about these other people, and to me that's a myopic view.
Mm-hmm.
So what this woman is doing, to me, I mean, it's not wrong. I mean, you want to swim, and they won't let her compete against the men anymore, right?
I don't know if they would let her or not let her. I don't know the answer to that question.
I mean, like, an article I read was saying, hey, we don't need a transgender category, but maybe we do.
Maybe we do. I mean, the science is young.
Yeah, very.
And while, right now the system is set up that they can compete if their testosterone levels are at such and such for such and such a period of time after 12 months of suppression therapy. Other studies say that it takes 2 years to balance out. It takes 3 years to balance out and whatever. I mean, I think the science is very young.
Yeah, one article I read said 2 years. Because they said, you'll be 6% stronger in the first year, and it's not balanced out yet. But it's interesting, just, in our society, I was thinking on the way over here, it's only about men who become women, right? Like, so it's never the other way around. Like, there's girls who can compete with men. Are they even checking for that at all? Yeah. Do they even care?
I was very hard pressed to find articles about that.
No, you can't find it. Yeah. And so it's almost like, you don't want to say they're being targeted, but the spotlight is on them.
Mm-hmm. Michael Phelps talked a lot about, he recently commented on this issue with the swimmer, with Leah, and said that, talked a lot, focused on the level playing field. And, his comments are where I started thinking about how elite athletes just sort of come with certain traits that maybe others don't have. That so it's never really a level playing field. But he sort of equated it to doping. Like, he said having the testosterone of somebody assigned male at birth. I'm trying to say this all without, sort of the appropriate way. But for somebody assigned male at birth who kind of goes through puberty as a male and then transitions, that extra testosterone is likened to doping. It's likened to, chemicals that people will put in their body for that edge. And he again said the same thing. He doesn't want anybody to not live their authentic life, but that he fears that this creates an unequal playing field, an unlevel playing field.
Yeah, in swimming, that's probably the case. It probably is. Mm-hmm. You think about some other sports, track and field's probably like that.
What about Jeopardy?
Not Jeopardy. And basketball, to be honest, is only like that when you talk about length. Because
I don't know that that's true.
Yeah, I mean, you think like, I think there's guards in the WNBA that are just as good as a lot of men.
How does a woman's vertical stack up to a male's vertical?
Yeah,
I don't know. I didn't do that research.
They don't stack up. And that's why the WNBA, the reason why women's basketball will never take off like men's basketball is because of the athleticism. Because you can't see somebody dunk on two people in women's basketball. That is the only thing, because everything else they do.
So we start seeing people in the WNBA who are transgender females that have the height advantage, that have the length advantage, that can dunk. Mm-hmm. Is it still women's basketball? I think that's kind of the argument, though I don't agree with it, that people make about Amy Schneider and Jeopardy. Is it still the women's category when she...
Well, I mean, your brain is not better as a man. You see what I'm saying?
But it's like I think that, like I said, and I do believe people are grasping at straws for this.
Yeah.
Because I don't, but things like the hand-eye coordination for the buzzer is something that I saw. I mean, I don't know that it's the same or different, because all along the female champion, the previous to Amy Schneider, wasn't anywhere near $1 million.
Yeah, but do you think?
So do you think that there are other things that make that game more? I don't know the word I'm thinking of, but make it easier for a male to be successful than a female.
Jeopardy, no. But
then why has a woman never? I mean, like, only earned a fraction of what the male champion has until Amy Schneider.
So
I'm just curious.
I don't know.
Is it the subject matter? Is it?
I would have to see a lot of stuff, like, as a numbers person, right? Like, I'd have to see the amount of men as opposed to women over the time. Like, how many?
Do you think that there have been more women on
Jeopardy
than men?
I'd have to see it. Has there been more men than women? Has there been as many panels as there's 2 women and 1 guy, as 1 woman and 2 guys? All that stuff would matter in that kind of research, right? But as opposed to what Caitlyn Jenner was saying about men being born with the card, a man, I'm sure that Sue Bird has better hand-eye coordination than Johnny Hampton.
Yeah, but she's not on Jeopardy.
No, but what I'm saying is there can be a woman who has superior hand-eye coordination.
There can be a woman, but
right.
I mean, women in general and men in general, like, and I'm not saying that
I'm
just one way or another. But
I'm just wondering if hand-eye coordination is one of those things that men are born. You know what I'm saying? Like, the other stuff I understand, the cardiovascular, like, all that stuff makes sense to me. But the buzzer, that what we're talking about? No, I mean, there's always
way men process hearing, auditory cues, questions. I don't know. I don't know, but I'm just saying. They're saying that women have earned a fraction of what the men have earned on Jeopardy, and so now that Amy Schneider was assigned male at birth, the folks that want to misgender her say it took a man to win at this level in the female category on Jeopardy.
So that assumes that we'll never.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's bullshit. Anything you can do, I can do better, right?
That's a stretch, man. Like, we should have got my mom on Jeopardy. That's what because she would have probably. I just don't. Damn. To me, I don't see it. Like, there are hand-eye coordination is not just for men.
So are men better at processing information auditorily, and women are better at it, reading it? Like,
I don't know. You tell me. I mean, if my wife was here today, she would say, Johnny don't process shit all the time. I got to tell him 3 times. Like, I mean.
Who knows? Are men better at retaining trivial information and women are better at big concepts?
How? Okay, so.
No idea the answer to that question.
The highest, do we know, what was the highest dollar figure before her?
I would have to look it back up, but it was not $1 million.
Keep talking. I want yeah. Because that is an interesting thing. And like I said, there's a lot of variables there.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
but I think that the numerous variables in Jeopardy are also numerous variables in sports, and which is why the NCAA is making these decisions sports specific.
Yeah, that makes sense to me though. Like,
yeah, for sure.
All-time female champion. Let's see. She's the first 1 million, okay? But Julie Collins was 20-day champ, and she won 429. So how long has Amy Schneider been on?
36 yesterday. Today, if she won today, I think it would be her 37th win.
Okay. I will say this. So now, because 20 days is a long time, and 429 is not that much. I would attribute that to risk.
That's another great variable. Yep.
That's what I would attribute. Like, I used to watch Jeopardy America. So now,
And who's that winner that every time he got a daily double said make it a true?
Ken O'Brien.
Ken O'Brien.
Okay, so a woman ain't doing that. No.
Mm-hmm.
That I can say.
Yeah.
So
that's a
good one. Like the other stuff, I just don't believe in. I don't believe that a man more. But I do believe if a woman is up in a game and she's got 20,000 and the other person's got 10, she's betting 3.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm trying to win this.
Yeah.
Whereas a man is saying, you know what, I'm gonna try to get as much money as I can.
That's a good
so
point.
I think that would be the variable that I would probably stand on and say I would look back at this whoever this woman is who was 20-day champ, Julia Collins. She was a 20-day champion. I would look back and see how much money she bet along the way. Because Ken O'Brien he ran that thing up.
That's right. He did.
He ran that thing up. I watched a lot of him, and he would, true daily double. And if he was up, he wouldn't just bet. He would.
He'd always go for it. He would always go for it.
Right, and that's why he eventually lost. Because he does that stuff. So I would attribute it to risk more than hand-eye coordination. That's just.
So Amy Schneider is at $1 million. Is her assignment of gender at birth causing her to take bigger risks than other women who have competed, and that's why she's at $1 million at 36 days?
I think that might be true.
Is it a quote-unquote male trait that is having her succeed at this level in this game?
That might be true. It might be. It might be.
These are the questions I ponder.
Yeah, that's a good question but again, there is evidence and data that they can look at for that. Do people want to do that?
Yeah, we need an actuary in the house, right? Isn't that what we do?
Yeah, so we could look at them both at their 20-day mark and see what their daily totals were. And did they get the daily double? Because again, she might be getting this new person might be getting all the daily doubles, and another person might not. That also counts. That also matters. There's too much. To me, there's too much variables in jeopardy to say it has anything to do
with gender.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So Ken O'Brien could have been getting these daily doubles, and there's no skill in that. Some people, I don't know, I've seen Jeopardy where some people, women and men, bounce around the categories looking for it, and they find it, but there's no skill in that. You don't know where it's going to be. So, no. Sorry, guys. I mean.
Yeah. So Leah, the swimmer, recently, in the last couple of days, competed against another transgender female.
Oh, okay.
And she lost. It's the first race she's lost in a long time, and there's speculation that all of this drama surrounding her, all of this coverage and analysis surrounding her performance, there's a speculation that she lost on purpose because of her times. Her times were not consistent with her times in this particular race thus far. Because she just wanted to be able to say, I don't win everything.
She couldn't have had a bad day.
I mean, we'll just see.
She could have had a bad day.
And there are other things that they're saying about her specifically as a person that I don't particularly care about, that she is sort of getting off on the attention and just sort of like...
Who doesn't, though?
Well, and as a competitor at that level, I think that fits.
Yeah, I mean...
whatever it takes to motivate you to compete at that high level, it takes a certain amount of ego and fearlessness and whatever.
Right. I used to, the company I used to work for, the owner, at times he took risks and stuff like that, and he was a certain kind of way. And the other owner, the owner of Hooligans, worked so hard. And I used to say to him, hey, listen, man, I wish you didn't work so hard. At the same time, if you didn't work so hard, you wouldn't have what you got.
Right.
And so, yeah, with elite athletes, that ego is important. But she could have just had a bad day.
She could have.
If Steph Curry goes out and shoots 1 for 20 tomorrow, does it mean he wasn't?
Doesn't mean he threw the game.
Yeah, she could have had a bad day. But I think ultimately where this is heading is you need the transgender category. You just need it. Because more and more people are doing this. It's not a fad. People really, feel they're misgendered at times. Like my daughter's one of them people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Tiara's one of those people. So like, it's a thing. And what, the science, well, some of these medical reviews and all these reviews say sometimes it doesn't matter. The point that Caitlyn Jenner made is very, very good. And I never thought about that. And I don't want kids to have to make that decision before puberty. So for me, I'd rather you just do men, women, and then you do transgender, and then they can make the decision when they get old enough to understand what all. Because I don't think.
So what about the 11-year-old?
I don't think do they understand what that means at that age?
Did you ever? I mean, when did you know you were male? I mean, did you always just know it?
Yeah. And I never made the choice to be male. You see what I'm saying?
But I don't think that, and I'm not transgender.
Right.
But I don't think that people choose to be trans. They know.
They feel it.
Yes, it's something that they know. I don't think somebody chooses to be gay. I think it's something you know.
I tripped up one of my best friends with that once because he was saying being gay is a choice, and I asked him, when did you choose not to be gay?
Exactly.
And he couldn't answer me.
But I feel it's the same thing. People, I mean, can you imagine the confusion and the pain and the torment of knowing something's not right about who you are as a human being, but not having any kind of vocabulary to describe it?
No, I can't imagine. I just don't feel like that age you make that kind of choice. Like even.
I mean, I didn't have to be 18 to know I'm female. I didn't have to be 18 to know I'm straight.
No, I get that. But those things are.
And I can't imagine somebody telling me I had to pretend to be otherwise.
No, I see that. I wouldn't make them pretend.
So the 11-year-old, I'm not saying she has to take hormones, but does she get to play with girls or does she have to play with boys because she was assigned male at birth?
Well, that's what we're talking about in general anyway, though, right?
Well, right, but at that level of elite athlete is a little different, I think, than just the kid that wants to go play soccer on Saturday mornings.
She'd have to play with the boys. She'd have to. Because, well, I would probably make it co-ed. Like,
go find a co-ed league somewhere.
That's what I would do. I can't imagine Tiara coming to me at 10 saying, hey, I feel this way. And I'm like, okay, let's go get some hormones. I wouldn't do it. But
this conversation isn't even about the hormones. It's just about what do you tell your 10-year-old who is a woman on the inside, but has the anatomy of a male, who wants to go play soccer. You're going to keep her in quote unquote boy clothes, presenting as a boy until she's of a certain age.
No, I wouldn't do that.
So is she supposed to go play on a boys' team like that day, not wear her skirt?
No, I wouldn't do that either.
So are you putting her on the girls' team?
No. I'm gonna let her do her, and we gotta follow the rules that they got, unless we find a co-ed. But I'm not making. No.
You're not making what? Finish that.
I'm not making him wear pants. I'm not doing all that. Like I'm not because.
So no co-ed league exists within 75 miles of your home. She doesn't get to play soccer on Saturday mornings?
Life is unfair. That's a conversation you got to have, though. Like, so, no, she probably doesn't. And there's people, if you would have asked me 20 years ago, I would have, hell yeah, you're going to wear pants. But there's people smarter than me that know a lot more than me about these things.
So why? Why can't she play with the girls? At 10 or 11 years old on a Saturday morning league.
Because even then, if you play with the girls, you're going to be faster. You're going to be like,
Oh, come on. We know a lot of boys who are slow.
She might not be one of them,
though. It's not like she's,
So, like, I know some 10-year-old, 11-year-old boys that if they played with girls now would kill them. You see what I'm saying? So.
But aren't we saying that elite athletes have certain traits regardless? What about the boy that's killing all the other boys? We're not saying he has to go find a different league.
No, because he's playing with boys who have the same anatomy and the same makeup.
Now, see, I think we agreed about most things until this point.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, so at 10 years old, 11 years old, so let's say
if my 10-year-old transgender daughter is living as a girl, and I know that you're waiting for me to stop talking so you can make your point.
Yeah.
I'm not taking her. She's playing with the girls.
So if your 14-year-old boy now identifies as a girl, she can go play soccer with the girls?
Yeah.
At 14 years old?
Yeah.
So now we're in puberty now, like you said, like we're hitting that. And so on a soccer field, they haven't taken the hormones. They're just identifying. They're going to knock some of them girls out. Nah.
That happens on cisgendered teams all the time.
Yeah, I can't do it. Can't do it. I wouldn't do it.
I don't think that there's an age where it becomes appropriate. I think.
Appropriate for what becomes appropriate?
I don't think there is like a number on when my transgender child can participate in activities as the gender they identify with.
But there is. We just talked about it. We just talked about when you go through puberty, you get an unfair advantage. So if there is a 14-year-old, 15-year-old that's going through puberty and they identify as a woman now, as a girl, and you let them go play.
We talked about that in the context of these, again, elite athletes at a certain level. I'm talking about my kid who wants to play soccer on Saturday mornings.
No, and I get that, but do you think...
I mean, Carolyn played on a co-ed team against males with a biological advantage. It doesn't take away the biological advantage to put him on a co-ed team.
No, I get that. And when they had too much of an advantage, it worried me.
But a co-ed team doesn't take the advantage away.
Right, but it doesn't take the advantage away. But what I'm saying is, if you have a 16-year-old boy, or from anywhere from 13 to 16, that identify as a girl, and they're playing with only girls, that's going to be a problem. You know that.
It was a problem for me when my girl was playing on a team with boys too. It was. And she took some hits. And she took some hits from other girls all summer long.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of those girls identified as, were genetically assigned male at birth. I don't know, but.
Yeah, I mean, to me, when you start to get into that, then you're getting into just like what Caitlyn Jenner said, though. And so then, is it fair to the other kids to have this one kid?
Yeah, I mean, is it fair to the other kids that somebody with the athleticism of a Nate Sean is always on their team getting their playing time when my kid will, when another kid might not ever have that kind of athletic advantage?
Yes. Because
they're the same gender assigned at birth?
Yeah, because it's yes. Yes. Because it's like comparing apples and apples. You're both boys. This boy just happens to be better than you. You can
okay, so explain that to me on a co-ed team.
Okay, explain what exactly?
The same premise. So Carolyn plays on a co-ed team with boys like Nate Sean, who are male and whose athleticism is stronger than hers.
What about it? I mean, what am I explaining?
I mean, what's the difference?
What do you mean, what's the difference?
There's still a biological difference between Carolyn and Nate Sean on a co-ed team as there is on a non-co-ed team.
Yeah, but you know that because it's co-ed. Like, you know that's going to happen.
So if I know it,
you know that
it's okay. I have to be okay with it.
If you sign up for a co-ed league,
then you know that's going to happen. That's what you're saying.
Yes. You don't.
I just disagree with you. I just disagree with you.
But,
period. I don't think that
Is that not a fact though? Like, so if you go into a co-ed league and you're a 14-year-old girl and you're a child of a 14-year-old girl and there's a 14-year-old boy playing in the same league, do you not understand that there's going to be times when the boy's going to be faster, stronger?
Yes. But I also understand on a girls' team, there are going to be girls that are faster and stronger and whatever.
Yes, there are going to be girls that were assigned girls at birth. Nobody is going to go into a girls' team thinking there's going to be a boy who hasn't gone through the change or anything like that going to play with them. No one's thinking that.
I disagree with you. And based on, like I said, the story of this girl, this 11-year-old girl who just wants to go play soccer on Saturdays and who lives her life as a girl, she shouldn't have to go join a boys'
I'm just
team.
trying. What do you disagree with? Exactly.
I disagree with the fact, I mean, that's what I'm explaining. I don't think that my transgender kid at this age and not at an elite level of playing, whether she's gone through puberty or not, has to go find a co-ed team to play on so the biological difference is known ahead of time and acceptable.
Well, I mean, puberty is puberty no matter if you're an elite athlete or not, right?
It is. And, you know, like in the case of this 11-year-old girl who wants to play soccer in her league on Saturday mornings, I think she gets to play with the girls.
She does for maybe 2 years, and then it becomes an issue.
There is an issue in the disparity of athleticism in all youth sports.
I mean, to me, that's dumbing down this whole thing. To me,
my opinion is dumbing down this whole conversation.
Yeah, like it's kind of making it like that's not what we're talking about. Like you said, there's a disparity in all athletes. Sure, there is.
Sure, there is.
Yeah, sure, there is.
And not every youth athlete is looking to become an Olympic level athlete. Some of them just want to go play.
Yeah, some of them want to go play.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that it would be fair to have...
What did you just say? Life's not fair. These are conversations you have to have.
All right, so I'm going to have a
conversation with my So I'm going to have a conversation with
my... All right, so now you're cutting me off. Okay, so you're going to have a conversation...
I would just like to finish my sentence.
You're going to have a conversation with a young girl and tell her what exactly?
Well, that's what I was trying to say.
That's what I would like to know.
You said earlier... That's the conversation you have to have. Life's not fair. And that's the conversation. I mean, I had those conversations with my daughter on the co-ed team as well. Don't interrupt me again.
This Strongly Worded podcast is written and produced by Johnny Hampton and Sue O'Lear. Music production and vocals by Marshall Max LaMont Hamilton, and cover art by Samantha Shakes.